Hello. In this series of videos, I'm going to be talking about superheroes. Well, actually, not really. I'm going to be talking about objects and classes, and hopefully, I will use these three superheroes to illustrate this concept. So here we have these three guys, Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America. And you can see that here we have several properties that relate to these heroes, right? Each one they have the height and their weight, right? And then you can see height and weight. And then I just created this variable, right? I'm assuming that I'm making this game, and I gave them 5 points or five life points, right? If things happen, they're just gonna be taking them, or they can gain them, resume them, right? And then also I'm gonna give them a coordinate position. I can use arrays for this, but I will just use two independent variables, position x and position in y, and you can see that all of them are basically a 0, 0, or we can say that this is the starting point, right? So how can we handle this type of situation, right? It will be really hard to make variables for these guys, like Iron Man height equal to 72 inches, Thor height equal to 72 inches, Captain America height, um, then you have 74 inches, so on and so forth, right? And actually that's 78 for 6'6". And then weight, then you have to create three other variables, like Iron Man weight, 425. And you can see how difficult is this, right? So if you are, playing with this game, then you have to handle all these variables. And then also, let's say you have other heroes coming, then you have to create more variables, like assign them. So the best way to handle this situation is to create a class. And we're going to create a class that basically, let me scroll here, they're gonna call it superhero, right? So, and with this class, I can make, or I can create objects. An object is basically an instance of that class. So that object is gonna carry properties, and also it's gonna have methods. And these are things that the object can do, right? And technically, these are the three building blocks of my class: constructor. So is how I'm gonna build my object, a property, which in our case will be like height, weight, life point, okay, and also position in x, position in y. And then you have your methods, right? Things that the object can do. So for example, in our case, we can like set the height, right? Let's say that is not set by default. Or you can, let's say, change position. You can have them to attack, right? You can have them to run, right? So I mean, these are methods. These are things that these guys can do. Okay. So here we have the structure of a class. You can see in this case I'm using the circle as an example, and you can see that the data field, these are the default values for my properties. And then here I have my constructors, so we'll talk about that. And then here we have our methods. Right? You can see there are methods, yes, the same way as we did in our chapter that deals with methods. So the class is pretty much similar to all the stuff we have been doing, but uh, I don't have a main method, right? I can include it if I want to, but in this case, we won't. Okay, so how do I um, create this class? So I go to Eclipse. So, okay, so here I have my folder for chapter 8. So I'm gonna say new, and then I'm gonna create a class. I'm gonna call this class superhero. Okay. And then here we don't have a main method, right? So technically I'm just gonna click on finish. And notice that I have my class superhero. It's technically empty. Okay. So technically you need your default properties here. Then you need your constructors, and then you need your methods. So let's go with the default properties. I said that we have the height. right? So you can say height, and let's put a default. Actually, this is int height, and they say that the default is 72 inches or 78 inches. That's 6'6", and then we have our weight. So far, let's just go with 300 pounds, and then we have our life points. So the default is 500 points, and then we have position in X, or I'm gonna call it X position. I'm gonna go with my default 0, and then my Y position, which also is 0. Okay. So here, these are the default properties of my object. Why do I say default? Because if I have a no argument constructor, okay, and you always need a no argument, well, you don't always need, but it's good practice to always have a no argument constructor. Let me put here no argument. Yeah, no argument. That should do it. And you're gonna see that in one of your in the homework, you say create a no argument constructor. You are gonna call this superhero. Okay. And here I have no arguments. I have my curly brackets. Okay. Notice that this name is the same as the name of my class. Okay. So when I create an object using a no argument constructor, the default properties or the default values of my hero is going to be this guy. Okay. Also we have name. Let's go here with string name equal to, let's put here hero X. Okay. I think I need here quotation marks. Yeah. Okay. So this guy here, if I use this constructor, I will have hero X, 78 inches tall, 300 pounds, 500 life point, and it's also at the starting point. So here I just have just a simple class. How do I test this class? Let's test it. So I will need another class. So this guy is gonna have a main. So I'm gonna go here test superhero. Okay. Okay. So here I have my class. Notice that in this guy I have a main method. Okay. So now I'm gonna create hero X, right? And then here I just gonna, to create my hero, you have to specify the class, and they're gonna say new hero, okay, is equal to new superhero, and then no argument. Right, so this guy is making a call to the no argument constructor. Okay, so this is the constructor that we're calling for this class that is called superhero, and then this is the name of my object, which is new hero. Okay, so by doing this, now new hero is going to acquire the properties and the methods, so far I don't have any, of my superhero class. Okay, so you can try, you can say, well, let's check. I'm gonna say system.out.println, and I want you to pay attention to this menu, right? Pretty cool. Tells you the methods that practically are in our system. And then here we're gonna print, okay, from my new object, new hero. Now dot. Notice that here I have all my properties. I have here a bunch of methods. I will talk about that. This pretty much get inherited from the superclass or from classes above ours. But notice that I can print, if I want, my name or the name of the hero. Right? Because all the properties from the superhero class got acquired by new hero. Now when I run, right? You can see it says Hero X. You can also print the height, right? And then height 78, right? So that's pretty cool. Okay, I'm missing some stuff. I said that we have uh, properties, right? Also here we have constructor, but also you can have other type of constructors. Let's say that you want to you don't want Hero X and you want to have, let's say, Iron Man. Okay, and Iron Man is 425 pounds. Okay, so you can create other constructors. You can say, you know what, I want a constructor that I will tell the constructor what is the name, okay, and also the things that change. You're gonna say what is the weight, okay. I want to build that type of superhero, but I can specify those things. Now here, so in this guy, you're gonna get the name and the weight. You're gonna say, okay, so you're gonna assign it, right? So the object, right? So for that you will need this constructor, okay? You're gonna say name is equal to name, and this looks a little weird, right? This name here that you see here is the one that comes from your argument, okay? And then this gets assigned to the object property, okay? So a way of differentiating, like which one is belongs to the object and which one comes from the argument, you use the this constructor. Okay, so this is saying that this is the property for the object, and then you will do the same for the weight. This dot weight is equal to weight. Okay, now let's save it. Now let's go back to our test program. Notice how I go little by little, right? Checking everything. And now let's create Iron Man. Okay, so I'm gonna say superhero. I'm gonna call it Iron Man. Is equal to new, and then you're gonna put here Iron Man, right? That's the name. And then the other constructor, he's 425 pounds. Okay. I'm missing here superhero. Okay. And then let's print the property for Iron Man. Okay. Now let's run it. Well, they both have the same height. I just want to print their weights because the default value for weight is 300 pounds, but Iron Man is 425, right? Because that's the one that I passed through my array. You see? Notice that each one, they have their specific values for this type of property. And the same way you can create the other heroes. We're going to talk about more efficient way of doing this later, basically by doing arrays. Okay, so now these guys, they have properties, but they can't do anything, right? So when you are creating your class, one thing that you need is the different methods. In some of the methods, you're gonna see that they're gonna ask you for your setters and getters. Okay. So like these properties here, you can get their values, right? You can get them by doing this, right? But it is a better practice to create a getter, or you can change, let's say the weight of Iron Man, right? You can say then Iron Man weight is equal to 600 now. You can do that. That's completely valid, right? But it's not a good practice. You don't want to have your variables public, accessible to the audience, right? You want to access these variables through methods. Okay, so here what you do is that you create a method for it. Okay, in Eclipse it's pretty convenient or easy. You just right click, okay, and then you go to 1 second. Go to source, and then it will say generate getters and setters. So you click on that, and then here you can have getters and setters for your different variables. Technically, you might want to have getters and setters just for this application for life points, position in X, position in Y. For height, you only want a getter, right? You don't want to like change the height of the guy when it's already built. And then the name, you might want to get the getter. And for weight, you want to get also, no, for weight you can have, no, yes, well, you can have both. Let's say that it loses weight during the game. You want to change that. Okay, so now here it tells you, it says allow setters for final fields, that depends. It says insertion point after, so you can select where do you want your this guy to be inserted, and then you click on that. And notice that each property in this case is gonna have a getter, right? So here you can get the weight, right? So if you make a call to this method, it's gonna return the weight, or you can set the weight by just sending a value, and then it will change the weight of the character, right? And then you will have for each one of these guys. Okay, so let me just go back to my test. Let me save this. And then now instead of doing what I did of changing the weight, let's say that I wanna change the weight of Iron Man. Okay, this is a better practice. And then let's get a setter, and then here you can get this method, set the weight, and here then you will change it to 600. It does the same, just it's a better way of having access to your variables, right? You want to protect your variables or your properties from the outside world. And then you can do the same for a getter, right? So let's say here, instead of doing Iron Man weight and printing that, you can get the weight, right? So you can say dot get the weight, right? So let's just go before and after, that way you can see how this works. Let me delete that. So let me just run this. You can see that the weight before, when I build my character, is 425, and after is 600, right? So they just got changed. Okay, so once again, we have the data field, constructors, and the method. Now, when you want to document this and then create a relationship of the different classes, here you create what is called a UML class diagram. Okay? And you can see here that technically you will have to do this in Word. You will need your class name, your data fields, and your constructors and method. And notice that your data field, here you have the variable name and the type, and here you have your constructors, and you have your different methods, right? So you will have to create this. Okay. The other thing that you have to be aware is if your classes are public or private, right? So let me, and for example, you can see it here. Let me show you. You see this? This here indicates a plus sign that you have a public modifier. If you have them set to private, then you will need a negative symbol for private. And this program here, the TV example in your book, is a good example in explaining what I just explained using the superhero case. Let me talk about static variables. let's say that I want to have a variable that is common between these three characters, right? So I'm gonna call that variable like um, number of objects, right? I'm just trying to get my ribbon here, insert, and then here let me just get a text box. So I'm gonna create a new variable. I'm gonna call it number of objects. And the thing is that this variable is gonna be the same variable for all three characters. Okay? So it's gonna be shared for all three characters. Okay? So let me see if I can get one of the shapes here. Okay. So this guy, it will go from here and then also through here, right? Just basically across the board. To go across the board, right? So it's shared by them. So this guy is technically a static variable. So let's see an implementation of that. Okay, so I'm just gonna go back to superhero. Here, I'm gonna create a static integer called number of objects. Okay, and then I'm gonna initialize this to 0. And then here, notice how it's in italic, really nice. I'm just gonna come here to my constructor. I'm gonna say number of objects plus plus. Okay. I don't need the this modifier. I can add it if I want to. And then here I'm just gonna go also numbers of object plus plus. Okay, so what happened is that number of objects is equal to 0, and then when I make a call to this constructor, it's going to increase by 1, and also when I make a call to this constructor, it's also going to increase by 1. Okay, so if I come here, and then let me go back to my test, and then I run here. Okay, so technically I call this constructor, and then I call this constructor. So now I'm gonna print the static variable. Okay, so let me get this guy. I should have a getter and setter for that, well, for number of objects. Well, okay, so let me go here, number of objects, number of objects. Okay, so let me put here for Iron Man, number of objects is equal, and then here I need to put a plus, and then I'll do the same for Hero X. And then Hero X. Okay. Doesn't like it. What is that? Oh, but it's called New Hero. New Hero. Okay. And now let's run this. Let's see what happens. You can see that for both of them, the value is 2, right? Because it went 2 times through the constructors. Now let's make a change. I'm gonna say new hero dot number of objects is equal to 100. Okay. And then I'm gonna print everything again. Okay. Then I'm just gonna run this. Notice that after I make the change, right, both of them is also 100. because this is a static variable which is shared by all objects. Okay. Now you can see the inconvenience here that we have. For example, we have to deal with these new heroes, so on and so forth. Let's say that I'm gonna create here um, another method. So I'm gonna say uh, public uh, hero lost point, right? And then basically this is the guy got attacked and he's just gonna lose point. So I'm gonna go here and say damage, okay. And then of course damage. And then here I'm just gonna I need to specify the type. This is a void method, right? This only is just gonna do a calculation. And then I'm gonna say that the life points, okay. I don't like using the shortcuts because I like to see the whole equation. And then, one of the reasons I don't do the minus equal or equal minus, let's say I have this, right? And then I go this dot life points, okay? And then I'm gonna say minus damage, right? So basically that's what's gonna happen. The reason I do it this way is because if someone comes later and tells me, you know what, it's not actually minus damage, you're gonna have, let's say, 2 times that, and then I can modify my formula quicker, right? And then I can actually see it. That's why I don't like the minus equal minus, etc. Okay, so here the thing is that if I call this method, I pass how much is the damage, then it gets called, right? So let's say that in my game there was like a blast explosion, right? Where all the heroes get hit, right? And then you have to call this for Hero X and Iron Man, right? So technically you will say like Hero X dot he, no, it's called new hero. I don't That's the name, but this is the name of the object. New hero, and then I look for my method. It got damaged and you lose 10 points. And also Iron Man, right, lost 10 points. Right, so Iron Man lost 10 points. So you can see the inconvenience of this. Imagine if you are doing the movie where you have like 8 of them. I mean, you have to like create objects for each one of them. Okay, so the best thing to do is to actually come up with an array of objects, right? So you're gonna say hero, superhero, and then hero. You can say hero array is equal to new superhero, and then let's say that you have 10 of these guys. Okay. And now here I have an array of 10 superheroes, right? Well, let's not do 10. Let's just do 2, because then you can create a loop to create these heroes, right? If you have, let's say, the names in a database, so on and so forth, then you can do that. But I mean, you will have to implement that yourself. So this just creates an array of 2 heroes. Okay, so let's say for the first hero, okay, so we got 2 left, right? We got Thor and we got what's the other guy's name? Forgot. Captain America. There you go. Thank you, guys. I'm assuming that I'm like in front of you. So for the first hero, right? So I will go hero array 0. That's a new superhero, right? So let's just go with Thor. Okay, and then he was 620 pounds. Ooh, that's like way too heavy. Okay, and then we got the other hero. Again, you can create an array, or you can do a loop to do this, right? So hero 1, and then here you got new, and then superhero. Okay, and then I'm gonna call it Cap because I read that that's how people call him. He was 220. We got to change the height for him. He's shorter, so we can do that later. Actually, we can do it now. So let's do hero array. Okay, 1. And when I put my dot here, I can say set height. Oh, I didn't have a setter for height. I should have had that. So set height, he's shorter, so he's 6'2", which makes him 74 inches. Okay, and you can see here I can have an array of heroes, right? So how do I treat a blast explosion for these guys? Okay, 1 second. Okay, so let's say that now I want to go for integer, and I go I equal to 0, and then I go all the way to the length of my array, and then I plus plus. Okay, and now okay, hold on, I got something wrong. It's I less, and then here you can pretty much make a call out to this method, hero lost points, okay. And then here you call hero hero array, and then call it I, and then each hero in this array is gonna lose 10 points, right? And then let's just display that. Okay, so now here let's go with system dot out dot print line, and then here let's go with hero array I dot, let's get the name, and then let's put a space, and then let's get the life points, and then I dot, let's get the life points, and then let's close. Okay, so now it goes through the blast, right? So I go through my array, and then pretty much I go through my array and print, right? And you can see that now that both of my guys have 490 points left, right? So I give it the names and everything, right? So it's pretty convenient dealing with an array of objects. Okay, okay, you can also pass your array of objects to a method, right? So let's say that I want to create a method to do my blast, right? So and then also display, right? So create a void method to do the blast. Okay, so here you can say hero blast. Okay, and then you're gonna say, so what I'm gonna pass? I'm gonna pass an object of this type, superhero, and then here, and then here you can create your array heroes damage. Okay, and this is a void method. It has an error because it says hero cannot be resolved to a variable. Okay, so it says create a constant, create parameter, create field. Now here we need a void method. So let me just go back to my method here, and then we're gonna say public uh, void, call it hero plus, and then it's gonna pass. I'm gonna get superhero. Okay. Here the array that I need to pass is hero array actually. Hero array. Let me get rid of this actually. Okay, so now it's gonna give me an error, and the error says that I need a void method. Oh, here is an array. Because so here's an array that I'm passing, and then now I create my method, which is a void method superhero hero array. Okay, so now I can take this guy, let's say this method, and then move it here. So let me get the right declaration. So here I make a call to my method. So here I'm basically passing the array to this method, and then this method, technically this is the identifier, right? So you can see here I have an array of the superhero type, and then here this is my argument, which is an array of this type. Now it goes on process, and then after it does the process, it goes back, and then actually it displays, right? So actually I can create another method. I'm gonna put here like print hero status. Right, so here it says print hero life points. Okay, and then life points, and then for that I just gonna, so it's gonna ask me to create actually I need to pass hero array, and then it's gonna ask me to create a method, right? So that method is down here too. You can see it. It's a void method. I'm getting an array of the superhero type. So now I can take my display and just bring it here. Okay. And then it will run the same, right? So you can see, let me just get rid of that. So you can see here now I have two different methods, right? Run it, and then I get the same result. Okay, so this is like the most important stuff in that chapter 8. So hopefully it will help you guys.